Yo, Pablo, what's up? Salabov, yo. Yo. Sandwich, what's up? Pelin, hello, hello. Pelin, I like your commitment to YouTube. Are you liking the YouTube streams? I think the only downside I've seen so far is there's a pretty fat delay on like how the response, like when I see your message, when I respond, and when you hear. My hair is up. Is it hot there now? No, it's just my hair's so long. Here. It's too long. I can't see anything. So I just started slicking it back and doing this. I haven't had my hair cut in like 6 months or something like that. Saving that money, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a delay, but you prefer it. Power, what's up? How you doing? Yo. Crystal, good to see you. Eden in the house. Okay, let me keep clicking your guys' work. You guys are posting some pretty cool looking stuff, if I do say so myself. 23 months, dude. Jamie, thank you, man. I'm doing good, Power. It's my today's my Friday, so that's kind of nice. You can't adjust the volume of the arrow keys on Twitch. Oh, you can do that on YouTube? That's cool. Dude, early Friday's everything. Everything. Nice, Crystal. Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, trying to see if we get started. Just waiting for a few more posts. It looks like there's 2 coming in. Maybe I'll start. Let's lower the music here. Switch to my tunes. I think I'll listen to Arc Raiders. Nice. To Darcy, yo, what's up? What is up? Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay. I'm going to switch over to, was it this one? Here we go. Here we go. Look at this. I can't critique these. These are... I dig it. I dig it. Naomi, what's up? Yo. Okay, 1 second here. Give me 1 second. I just realized something. It's gonna bug me if I don't fix it. But you guys are posting some good stuff. We're gonna be going through this, that's for sure. Update later. Boom, boom. There we go. Now I won't lose my mind. Bugs me when the camera's like really, really close, you know? Okay. All right, let's get to the first one here. Let me find my window. Okay, so the first one's actually Sadie. I don't know if you've actually posted anything before. Yeah, I don't know if you've posted anything before, but super happy to have you. Let's see if we can't. Can I not? What's going on here? Why is that? Oh, is it because this is locked? There we go. Just gonna expand that out, I think. Is that not a thing? Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I know why. Yeah, you can see this shouldn't gonna work. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna just take this. We'll bring this one forward, and I'll just switch between them every once in a while. But yeah, this is looking pretty cool. I might even turn my camera off or shrink it or something. Maybe I'll just go down here because I'm gonna get a little bit of a weird camera angle. But Anik, oh, what's up? First time caller, dude. Let's go. Let's go. Well, happy to have you. Pretty cool to see such an interesting piece. Let's see if I can give you some justice here. Make it sound like I'm a judge or something. So working on this scene, based off this concept art. Any thoughts, critiques? Much appreciated. Okay, let's get in here. Ank, what's up, yo? So here's the concept piece. What is this from? It's pretty cool looking. And then your scene is here. I think your shadows being less dark, where you can see a little bit of information. It's more of like a stylistic choice, but I personally like it. I think where you're seeing a lot of the differences are in the water, and like how the water is painted versus how you're handling your water. Do you want it to be similar to this, or are you just kind of like doing something different? Like what's your plan there? Kamash, yo, hello. It's Super Whip, but I wanted to match the concept. Okay, so I guess we just need to be looking at like either in your water shader or making a texture that you can paint. I don't know if you're going to be doing it in motion, but having it painted like this can be pretty cool if it works to paint a texture and it's not going to be in motion, right? I think one of the things that you're seeing here, it's very stylistic right now, but this detail here, I think that's supposed to be simulating some type of acoustics effect, like a reflection of the water on the side of the ship. That's probably one of the bigger details that you're missing currently. And let's just shrink this down here, and we'll just kind of go off of what we're seeing. Style-wise, I mean, I think you're nailing it pretty nicely. Yeah, I would just maybe see if you can get some caustics on here. This effect that's going on here feels like it it feels like a different style to the rest of the structure. Oh, nice. Look at this dude. This dude chilling here. Like it's a different style to the rest of like how the rest of the work is put together. It looks like you're doing some type of post-process cell shading as well. I could be very wrong. Forgot about him. I mean, he's pretty small down there. It's all good. Of course, these containers probably need to have their texture pass as well, right? But is the ship getting into place, and then these need to be open to be getting the shipments, or how does that work? Because I think you'll have a nice effect of having the color here that you're getting from these containers. Oh, wow, you can't see my mouse. I just realized this. Okay, hang on. Give me a second. There we go. Okay. I'm switching back to the mouse because we don't have time to be debugging the problem. Okay, so these containers, they're pretty colorful. And I think in the concept, they don't really have colors, but I assume these containers are these are like containers as well, right? So with that in mind, I think it'd be awesome to have those color hits out here as well, even if maybe it's like just the blue one. And then I don't know if it would be interesting is to show these in like mid opening. That could be kind of cool. You have a pretty good dirtiness pass going on the materials for like the ship, like all this dirtiness. I guess the only thing I'd maybe look at is, I mean, if you're trying to match the style, you're getting it pretty close already. Like this area here is more of like this purpley washed feeling, whereas in the concept, like if we grab this and just bring this over here, nice at the top, please. There we go. You can see this one's a bit deeper. It's a little bit darker, more saturated, whereas this one feels a bit cloudy, right? So if you can get that and then maybe like do the caustic pass, that'll do a really nice that'll be a really nice effect. Let's see what else we got going on here. Look at the concept, because while the concept is really cool, don't limit yourself from pushing the logic that's being presented in the concept. Oh, shadow ping or is it ohm? Dude, welcome. But yeah, don't hesitate to push what the concept is showing further, right? So you have a giant ship here, and then you have this other ship. What's the logic, right? This is a huge container system going on here, and there's big cranes for moving the containers out to the ships. Is there possibly like containers on this ship? Like the stuff that's back here in the concept doesn't necessarily make much sense. I think on yours, it's a little easier to read or understand. And maybe if there were some other containers back there, maybe the yellow ones so that they don't really draw too much attention, or like a less detailed container, color-wise, could just blend in. But I think it'd be nice to just see more of that logic. Of course, these are quite low, so they can't be putting containers on this. Something to think about. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's feeling pretty close to the concept. Are you painting this difference here, or are you using fog to try and get some depth? Because I think that's what's going on back here in the concept, at least, is like a layer of fog to kind of separate everything. There's also some outline highlights for like the windows and stuff, and I think in the post-processing, if you can nail that, it'll make it much easier to read like what the structure is. And always think about like, how do people get up there, right? It looks like there's some type of maybe stairs or a ladder system or something like that. Adding some of these smaller details to kind of bridge the gap and help you understand not only the scale, but the logic of how things are put together is going to be the best way, I think, to like push the detail a bit further. It does look like it's some type of Maybe this whole thing moves and it goes to the side and then slides down this rail thing. I don't know. Could be interesting to try and display in some way. But, I mean, largely speaking, you're looking pretty close to done. It's depth-based color override in the material right now. Oh, right. Okay. Dude, that's crazy. So you're kind of doing the fog stuff, but you're doing it based off the depth, I guess, from it intersecting the water. Is that the idea? Because you could put like some fog in the environment just to like get you a bit more separation in this area. Depth from camera. Okay, cool. Wow, that's really interesting. So it's depth from camera affecting material. Cool. But yeah, I think the main things that are sticking out to me are like these types of details. They just don't really feel like they match the rest of the style. This is really cool with the splotches and those types of details. When you get this close, kind of feels like the splotches should have like a little edge highlight on them, like they're wet or they have a thickness to them. I'm not sure what this is. Is this like supposed to be a puddle of water? Yeah, what is this rendered in? I'm assuming it's Unreal if you're talking about camera depth from the camera. But yeah, the fog's really going to help like separate the distance there. Getting these smaller details, like where the text is, if you can just remove that here, because I'm assuming this is inset. Yeah, it's an Unreal. Cool. And then the highlights on the edge here make the text feel really thick, like it's really painted on, like in a thick layer. And I wonder if that makes sense. Let me see what see on here, of course it's even on the top here. But I think I would really try and make it feel like a layer of paint that's not as thick. Maybe even showing some really faint normal information for the plating of the ship, so you just see how everything's put together. Yeah, and then with this anchor, let me see what it looks like in the... Yeah, so in the concept, it's there as well, but I think that anchor would be really cool to have it look more... it doesn't need to look more wet itself, but maybe the side of the ship. Because you can imagine every time this comes up, it's going to be leaving dripping water along the side of the ship, and there's just going to be discoloring, maybe darkening or lightening of the surface here to just show like all the drippage and like time, especially with all this like dirtiness and detail that you've got going on here. Dude, Respio, 103 months? Get out of here. That's crazy. Thank you very much. Thank you for your long-standing support. That's freaking crazy. I don't think I have too much else to add on here. Because, like, I want to say, like, roughness variation would be nice to get some, like, highlights and stuff on there. But, I mean, when we look at the concept, it doesn't really call for that. And so I think it's fine to just not have to do that. And don't hesitate to add more of these, like, more vehicles or, like, logic around the area. Like maybe there needs to be a railing system here just to like stop people from falling off the edge or whatever, or some like safety stuff that would just show up. But I would say you've already achieved the general, like the squint test, the vibe between the concept and your piece. And it's more about pushing like you can see there's color here, pushing all the colors and trying to get it to feel complete at like a more micro scale, like when you look closer. And just when I was highlighting like the paint and all that stuff, it's just how things are put together in the overall presentation. But it's pretty cool. I don't think it's been a while since we critiqued something that looks like this. Do you have any questions before I move on? Yeah, it's really cool for, especially for an Unreal render. I'm saved. No, it looks great. I think I can also, right before I move on to the next piece, I can show you guys a thing I've been working on. I did this while I was, what is it? While I was on vacation. So you guys are familiar with the Empire Command. I feel like it's kind of grown in a way that I'm not like 100% with. So like we have this thing, which is like a resource, right? And then we have like the Empire University, which has like a lot of like breakdowns and sections to kind of expand on. Not all of these are full, but they're there. But you have to dig around to find stuff, and you have to know how everything's set up. Jaishin, dude, you helped a lot with this as well. You gave me a lot of feedback. I wouldn't say it's 1.0 yet, but I'm just gonna. You haven't dropped by in a while, Rispio? Dude, that's crazy, man. 103. I think these types of resources are really useful, and I looked at resources like what is it called? Polycount's Wikipedia, and there's definitely resources everywhere, and I've been looking for like a way to store it and make it searchable in a better way. And Jolin and Jaishin pointed out a need for it as well on the server. It's like there's a lot of stuff that gets talked about in the server that gets lost in the Discord, right? So I put this together. It's just called the Game Dev or GameDevCodex.io, and it kind of looks like Reddit, but it's not really Reddit. And you can make an account to bookmark these posts, or not make an account, but you can add an entry, and then it goes into a pool to be reviewed. And then when the review is approved, it gets posted in here. So we've got categories, right? And of course, there's not a lot in here right now, but we've got like all topics, which shows everything. We've got fundamentals, techniques, workflows, pipelines, production, career, and in freelance. So it's a lot of advice stuff in here as well. And probably one of the best examples. You like it, Raggedy? Probably one of the best examples of the usage of this is this fresh out of school breaking into game design. So there was a conversation that happened in the Discord in the career advice talking about how do I set up a good portfolio for game design to get entry level into game design. So I took that information, and of course it's probably a bit small on stream. But I took all of that information and reformatted it with the short answer at the top, kind of what the gist of the conversation is. And then you can see we've got like a little outline here. And then you've got quotes from the people that responded to the question, as well as like categories or like subsections that make sense for what's being said. And then some practical steps at the end there to help with like next steps for yourself. And then again, crediting all the people that responded to the message. And then at the end of this, we rank other posts in the site to be relevant at the bottom here to give you like the 3 most relevant pieces that would make sense for like if you're looking at this post, maybe you'd be interested in these ones as well. But yeah, I'm now in the midst of converting over some of the ones that I've already made, like of course the detail normal one. And this is the first time I'm actually looking at it posted here. But if you need, there's a light mode as well. I'm not really a light mode person, but yeah. So I'll copy this and I'll post that in the chat. And you guys can, if you see a topic that gets talked about or something that you feel like needs to be posted in there and you've got information to say, just try making a post. Don't be scared about it. it'll be like looked at. We can go through it. Maybe we'll even contact you. There's a review process where we can send it back and ask for more details. Or if there's a few things that are just phrased strangely, but we know what you're saying, we'll just readjust those, and you'll actually get a post showing you what changed as well. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited for it because I think over time that resource is going to become really, really valuable. But yeah, cool. That was that. I think I'll move on to the punching bag piece here. This one here. Adrian, let me make sure I have the Discord as well. Alejandro. All right, so you're actually next, Alejandro. And then it's the punching bag. How did that happen? Give me a second here. Dude, this is looking good. Hang on here. There we go. So this is your scene. Man, this feels very both A names. Maybe that's what did it. Maybe that's what messed me up. But cool. Yeah, so looking at this piece, this has come a long way. It's looking pretty sick now. So essentially what I'm going to highlight now are the things that just kind of stick out to me. You were saying looking to finish this one up in the next couple of weeks or in the coming weeks. Any general feedback and improvements and polish would be nice. So overall, this is looking real solid. The things that stick out to me, the initial things were the flatness in some of the shadows. So the first area that my eyes zeroed in on was this area. So and I think it's just a matter of like if you were to grab this area here and just kind of darken it a bit, you know? It just needs to feel a bit more separation. Can we do like, oh, can I not do that? Hang on here. Oh, I know why. There we go. Okay, so if I just push these down a little bit, and then let's go back to here. Where the heck is my brush? Oh, is it just really small? Yeah, it is. Cool. Yeah, so I mean, just getting a little bit of shadow in there to help like separate it out. You can see even here. Just so that it pops from the rest of the environment. Of course, it's still too bright. But it's a very subtle adjustment that needs to happen for those details to pop out. Now, the other thing, the next thing that kind of stuck out to me was weird geometry-like intersections. These are details that just naturally end up sticking out. Is it a curve? Dude, I never know. I need to get rid of that curve brush. I don't need a curve brush. But like intersections here, like this area here, or like this feels like a weird tangent where it feels like it's going in and they're both meeting, but they're not explained how they meet. This, I can't tell if it's like passing through. I don't know how these are connected. Maybe there needs to be something on the back that helps bridge that connection, or like rope or some type of detail that helps rationalize how they're put together, you know? The maybe the normal on the wood feels a little soft, so it doesn't have the correct illusion of feeling like a rope, like the light's not wrapping around it. This looks more like a tube or a cable. Like an electrical cable, rubber type material. And then looking at like how it dips in some spots feels a little unnatural, like weight-wise. So just checking those. Also another really good area to get some shadow in, right, in here. Just to push it a little bit. That would help. What else are we looking at here? I think the other thing I was going to mention was everything is very mid value, brightness wise. Like maybe your brightest areas are, there we go. Your brightest areas are like here, here, up here, and maybe this area, right? And trying to figure out like how to balance the, like this is a bit bright as well, but like getting a little bit of brightness on the tops of objects to just also, again, same as the shadows, but in the reverse, gets them to pop out a bit more. Oh, what is this? This feels, are these stacks of wood? They probably need some type of higher contrast grain lines just to help us understand that they're wood back there. Logs. Okay, yeah. Anywhere that you have these type of contacts meeting another surface, make sure to ground it somehow. Just remember that everything where they meet, things happen where surfaces meet, right? Over time, they affect each other in different ways. Whereas like metal against rock, for example, metal rusts, the rain hits it, and the rust drips down the side, and you get this like kind of buildup of rusty sediment, if you want to say it like that, along the. Let me open my soda here, or flavored juice or whatever you call it. Yeah, those interactions, those are things that help ground and bring connection to that stuff. So definitely push for those details to be there. Again, the highlights, like I was saying earlier, it feels like there could be a highlight on the top of this. Like if I do another levels at the top here, and then because you can see in your curve here, you're missing out on a ton of like information in your range. Let's see if we can. Like, see, by bringing this in, now we're getting pretty bright, and you probably don't want it to be that bright, but let's bring it up to that point where you're almost starting to blow out, and then we'll close this, and then I'll just add a mask and invert it, and we can use that to like paint our masks, right? So getting that type of information is just going to help with a lot of the depth that feels like you're missing right now. And we can I'll just kind of eyeball this a little bit. I'm just using a mouse because that's what I do. But you can see how that's just going to cause the details to pop a bit more and draw your eye into certain areas. Like, it doesn't need to be everywhere either. You use it essentially to just kind of push our eyes to areas. So like, for example, if I hit it here and then we push it back, we make sure that it's not hitting this because that doesn't make any logical sense. We make sure it's not past the building. Well, and I mean, even maybe we even tone it down a bit. Maybe it's a little too strong. But getting those details to pop, it's going to give you that depth. You can see everything here is pretty like mid to low range in brightness, and those are where you're going to get your wins. Like just like that little highlight along the piece of rope here. Of course, I'm just kind of doing like a little light pass on this. But yeah, this is going to make a huge difference on getting the shapes to pop a bit more. Let's see if and then of course, like, it gets that gradient going. Gradients are so nice because they do so much for like letting surfaces breathe a bit. You can see even that, like, now those elements come forward from the background. You can see the difference there. Really helps like add that depth. Yeah, these are like your highlights. So it's just you're just missing a little bit of the upper part of your range. This is what we usually talk about when we say like, oh, getting more range in your histogram. Yeah, dude, this stuff is, these types of changes that you can do are potent. They do a lot very quickly with very little work. Like, for example, the tops of these, I'm going to assume it does this, right? Like there's like an edge to this. There's an upper part to this and a side here. And just doing that, like, we'll tone it down as well, so it's not so heavy. Just doing that starts to help you understand the space. And then we do that with the, oh man, I need to kill the, where is that at? Is it view? Show pixel selection? No. Show pixel grid. I need to turn on pixel selection again. Show pixel selection. Okay. Yeah, so if we like bring the brightness into these, or the shadows into the buckets as well, you can see how instantly now the shapes read. You're able to understand the form a lot more. And I'm just sitting here painting lighting now. But yeah, don't be afraid for it to go darker. We just do this, and then I'll just scale this up and erase that out a bit. You can see it just ends up feeling more natural. And you understand the shapes more. Like, we can even take this one and maybe even make it a little bit brighter. And see, now you're getting some color in there without it being too colorful. Like, it's still muted or like in that range. Yeah, you're losing a lot of shape, I guess is the way to say it. Like if you take this and bring this down, maybe like this whole under area is a little bit darker. We'll just erase this part, and then we'll do this last bit here, and then we'll move on. But like this whole under area just needs to feel like the under area, right? There's a bit of bounce light that's happening here on this thing. That should help that stick out a bit more. And then you erase that a little bit, and that's now, it's so subtle what I'm doing, but that helps definitely with and this got brighter because we pumped it up. But yeah, okay, hopefully that makes sense. Only other thing that I think is sticking out is some of the details that are on the right side here they just don't feel finished. Like this piece here feels a little strange. Then we have this ladder. Ladder's fine maybe, but maybe how it's contacting the wall feels a little off. But yeah. Oh man, Shadow, that's a good question. So, okay, so I've been highlighting all this stuff. Literally highlighting. How do you implement that in your... So it's a matter of like, initially you place your main light, right? Your directional light. Nice, I block my directional light. So you place your directional light, and then from there it's about getting that lighting angle to hit right and be bright enough. Any of the ambient lighting that you're using to fill the rest of the environment, you push that exposure, like you push the brightness of that up and down to make your shadows deeper. And then in your post-processing, you can adjust like your range, right, with exposure, as well as like locking your exposure in Unreal. And then in key areas where it really can't be done by the main light, you would place like a rectangle light that's not affected by the fog or doesn't like project into the fog. And then you just start highlighting some of the key spots that maybe your directional light can't hit, right? Now, making these areas darker, that's a little bit of a trying to figure out how to balance how the directional light's hitting, how much bounce light is happening, like toning down the bounce from lumen, for example, to hit that feeling. But yeah. And then remember is light bounces, right? So like this like under area here would be nice. This under area, what is happening? Is it this one? I'm like, why can't I paint on that? There we go. This under area should be brighter. And I see it a little bit. It's very subtle as well. I'm just like, because the lighting is, and see now you'll see the shape more. You'll see the form a little bit more. Jay Lee, dude. Jake, what's up, man? How you doing? What would be the best method to achieve this result? Light linking. So you could do light linking as well. Like if, for example, you want to put a pretty bright light here and you only want it to hit like a few of these objects, you can use light linking to select the objects that light affects. And they're just called light channels. Been following in the shadows, dude. I feel you. Yeah, we've been looking at it every once in a while to just see where it's at and stuff. It's been posted a couple times for critiques. So it's just about getting the volume and the shape to read. Yeah. So how can you do all details, rim lights, etc., that make a game to have 60? So if this is a portfolio piece, don't worry about hitting a 60 FPS frame rate. Just know that the amount of lights you add, the more you add, the more expensive it gets, which is why I say start with the directional light and then add maybe a few lights to support the vibe you're going for. And then if you look at like your lighting costs, you can see when lights overlap, and it's like that'll tell you the more lighting you have overlapping, the more expensive it becomes. But don't try and tackle like being 60 FPS real-time game performance ready and trying to build a portfolio piece at the same time until you understand both of those things separately. Then you can merge those together and push forward. Okay. I spent a lot of time on that one, but I think there is some really good value in here. This scene is sick, by the way. I'm really excited to see it done. It's got such a nice, soft, painterly feel to it. And yeah, shadows cost a ton, and point lights are 6 times more expensive than spotlights. See, good knowledge. Good knowledge. Yeah, try and do, especially outside, in outside scenes, try and do as much as you can. With how much you light with just that main directional light. Yeah, Jake, we were talking about that earlier. Just how things meet and logically explaining it. And yeah, so if we turn all these off, this is kind of where we were at. And then we added some shadows here. We get some highlights and just starting to get some of the details to pop out. Oh, no worries, Jake. It's, if anything, it just confirms to me that I do know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? You never know, man. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm saying something wrong. Cool. Okay. The punching bag. I think that was the next one. Gonna bring that one forward. The punching bag looked pretty cool. Let me see what the, not currently work in progress, but would love some critique on this. Okay. Like color, oh, Nomi, so your scenes are always looking dull. So they can be dull, or they can have the color disappearing and it's dark at the same time. But that's why that range is important, right? You get that range in there and you can see more. And you can help our eyes decide what to focus on. Of course, power, of course. Okay, this looks pretty cool. Materials are quite interesting. Dude, what is the... Okay, texturing sculpting exercise. Wanted to work on for a while. I mean, this is pretty cool. I like how where you have the tape is very much like pulling in on the shape, so it is affecting the flexibility of the shape itself. What's going on here? I'm scared. Okay. Oh, that's nice with the opening and some of the bits. Man, I totally have a little bit of like duct tape hanging off of the edge, just to like push the silhouette just a little bit further. The other thing is the difference between the roughness and all of the materials. Let me see what we got going on here. Yeah, so you can see they're all in your roughness map. They're all very similar. And use that as an opportunity, even if it's not too realistic, to just push maybe the duct tape to be a little bit more less rough than the punching bag. And then any damage that's happening or aging that is roughing up the surface is brighter. Like the dirtiness of it just needs to be a bit brighter, which I can see is happening there, but maybe just more contrast in it. Ambient occlusion would be good. That would definitely make that opening feel more open. I feel like with this being open here, the tension points would be here. So a lot of the bag would be kind of hanging or sagging a bit more open. So it'd be maybe a wider opening. Yeah, and the materials, I'm trying to figure out, like the materials are really reflective, and I think this is the nature of the environment that's being reflected in the surface, right? So in here, it doesn't look as bright, but here it looks quite like chalky and washed, and I think it has a lot to do with the environment that's reflecting around it. Ollie, dude, what's up, man? Good to see you. So the environment that's reflecting on the surface is kind of just washing out the whole surface, right? I think even if you have a background like this, it might be more worth it to try and find like an HDR or an HDRI that reflects a fuller environment, so that the surfaces look more like how you would see them in a space, and the backdrop can be blurry as well. Like you can blur all of that stuff out for the backdrop, but yeah, just getting it to feel like it's being lit in a real space will just make the surfaces feel more real. Because a lot of the times, like roughness on an object is just changing how clear the reflectivity is on the surface, right? How diffused or how sharp it is. Like diamond being like ultra sharp reflectivity, and then ash being like the most extreme diffused reflection. And that's just being controlled by the roughness, right? So even if in its rougher states, it is reflecting something. And if what it's reflecting, we can't understand or we don't recognize by default or naturally, we'll end up making it feel not natural, or the materials don't feel right. And maybe the material is actually fine, but it's the environment that's affecting the surface, right? Because PBR materials look really good, and PBR materials look really good when the lighting shows off what the material is set up to be. And that includes what is reflecting on the surface. Harry, what's up, dude? Yeah, I'm good, man. It's good to see you. I'm doing well. But it's a really good, I like the post. I'd be curious to see your UVs and how you set all of that up. And I mean, now that I've seen the chains, I'm curious of so your chains are really diffused as well. I would make them a bit more reflective. And the albedo on them looks a little dark. So the albedo would probably be brighter on the metal, and then the roughness would be a little bit darker. Maybe like 20%, 10% darker, just to get that difference, you know? No, it's good to see you, Harry. Cool. Addy, I hope that was helpful. All right, Jamie. I downloaded it. Hang on. This is feeling pretty good. There's some, what is that, banding? There's like banding that's happening in the dust that's like blowing through. I like the movement, but right at the end, you see it gets really thin, like jaggedy. So it looks more like an artifact than anything. I'd maybe try and make that texture wider. And maybe like, yeah, you think that's a volumetric fog? I think it's a great addition. It's just the fog is feeling a bit squished at the end there. And just to like further emphasize the brightness of that light, so you have this fog line here. If you made the lower parts, or we can just like, hang on. I like the motion, and I like that you're making a video. It's really good. Let's grab that scene. Right. So, okay. So if we have this, and I think what I'll do is I'll just do a levels, maybe like blast this up a bit. It almost feels kind of cool being almost hot bright, like glowing. Cool. Okay. And then we'll add like a mask. I'll invert it, and then we can go in and paint a little bit. Right. Okay. So let's do this. We'll do this, and then we'll do something like, I'm literally just gonna paint. A little bit of fogginess here. Yeah, and getting this to feel right. Like, dude, if I had some masks, this would look way better. But yeah, mixing that up and just getting like a low ground fog would be really, really powerful, I think. Maybe it doesn't need to be so washed, but I think you get the idea. Like, it gives you a little bit of like grounding to the fog a bit more. Because like what's happening is the light's hitting the sand, right? And it's going to bounce off of that. And if there's volumetrics, the sand or dust that's in the air is going to like get illuminated again. So you're almost simulating volumetric bounce light. And it gives you a gradient in your fog plane. This is why I think height fog is so satisfying to look at. Orc, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Good to see you. We're looking at some stuff, some critiques. Otherwise, I mean, the scene's looking pretty cool. I'm trying to see if I can get let me copy this. Looking at the concept. So there's a lot of detail going on in the concept. And I think right now you're going with a very stylized approach to it. Is that intentional? Yeah, is that intentional? Yeah, I agree with the curtain SBO. The curtain, maybe add a mask going across in your wind shader so that it doesn't evenly move back and forth for the breakup and movement. Not really. Not full on stylize at least. Okay, yeah, because I mean, it feels like you're missing the medium, well, the micro detail. Like there's a lot of smaller things happening. Like you've got like a pot and stuff here, and you've got some other. I would add more of them and really get them to show in the scene. Like the sand right now feels really, really soft, which is a nice effect, but here it's really crisp. It's like little micro dunes happening. I wonder if you can simulate that kind of lumpiness in like a height and a normal in the terrain, and just tile it and then control the strength of it and then paint it where you want it if this is a landscape. Because yeah, there's a very like micro duney feel to it. Like of course some of the sand feels a little unnatural in the way it's concepted. But yeah, you have all of the language going on, but the surfaces need to be pushed further. Like you're basically 90% there. It's like now it's like, okay, get the wood paneling lines in there, the aging, the kind of chipping, all the differences that you're going to see in the roughness. Like you can see even here, this doesn't really make any sense, but there's an interesting surface detail to it where like there's a little bit of a highlight there because it's reflecting what's so bright above it, and you're seeing the grain of the wood in that piece. You see it here as well, which is quite interesting, contrasting with the sand. So you get some like roughness contrast happening. But yeah, it feels like you need to do like either like a mask pass or like an aging. I don't know how they're textured, so I don't know if this is tileable stuff or whatnot. But yeah, just pushing you can see all the little like debris and like the kind of chipping and aging that's happening around the edges, as well as discoloring. The curtain here has a lot of like little micro information in it and like these like straight lines that are in it. Maybe you can do that with like a normal to get that same feeling. Cabinets or trims, planning on doing a decal pass on them. Nice. I mean, a decal pass could do the job pretty easily for sure. If they're trims, let me look at it really fast. If they're trims, I see the line in the wood there. I would darken that in your material. I'd be curious to see as well what your roughness for the scene looks like and what your ambient occlusion looks like for your materials. Orc, yeah, this is I'm using Affinity. I believe I am using the free version. I'm using the free version, so yeah, technically free. Dude, this is dope. This looks great. But yeah, there's details that just feel like they just need a bit. Like this is starting to get there with the chipping and the damaging and aging and stuff. And there's some nice like material differences between these. No free Photoshop promo in this stream. Oh, it's funny. But yeah, there's so much character. And then when you see up here, we've got some like, oh, nice, the classic concept smearing brush. I see it. So you can see the colors here and the color of the wood on the inside, and then how this all chips away. And I think right now yours doesn't read like that, and it's missing the contrast in the range, right? There is some nice depth going on in here. I would push the gaps more. Like you can see there's a gap here. I'd maybe even put one more gap somewhere in here, and then actually make this like a separate model to the wood material here. There's some like little strings and wires and stuff. Totally add those if they're not. Yeah, they are there, but you can see how simple they are. Get the scraggliness in them, the bent wiring and cables that just look strangled, basically. And then there's not an opening here, but in yours there's an opening. I think I like what's going on back there, but it is taking away from the main view. The lighting was initially set up, right? So like this back area is not nearly as bright as yours. And I think the reason for that is like looking at the concept, everything is like having you look at the doorway and like where the light spills in the window. And this area here, that's the focus, right? So I think it's just a matter of like if you spent like an hour just following these edges on the tile and just adding extra geo and cuts in places to make it feel natural the way it breaks up, that'll do a ton for like how this feels, right? You said you posted a, let me see here. All right, we got roughness. Nice. Okay, yeah. So I would just like you want to get range in there for sure, and like where the wood is and stuff. Like you should be able to read how things were put together and how they broke down just in the roughness. Like it should all be there, because those details are gonna vary and change up everything. I see you're doing like some blending with the sand and stuff. I think that's fine. I think that's totally fine to do, as long as it doesn't feel too soft. And it looks like it's going all right. You just don't want it to climb up too much. The goal of this is to kill the laser line seam that you normally get, right? When you transition from the terrain to an object or the surface to an object. Yeah, but like this is so the like yes, what Jake's saying in chat, or Jay Lee, if you guys don't know who Jake is. Jake's in the Discord as well. Roughness is by far your most important map. Like for example, the tile being bright or dark like this means it's quite reflective. That's cool because you get a nice contrast between the wall and the tiles. The thing to think about with that contrast is it's still dirty, right? And adding a dirt layer on top of it that brings in some of the same roughness values, brings it into the space, but allows it to continue to be the surface it was originally, right? It's just a matter of balancing how dirty does it get. So yeah, your scene is going to be a make or break based off your roughness, for sure. Let's see here. Yeah, I think right now it's missing that layer of complexity in the material execution. Hello, Madhu. Yeah. Once your materials are on point, that's where it's really gonna, it's basically gonna feel done. Like you watch out for these straight lines, adding like a little bevel there, a little bit of dirtiness under stuff, and like varying thick like width of the bevel on these edges is going to do a lot. These wood seams, lean into those, like model them in if you need to, or push them further in the normal. This is quite an old scene, like material wise. So even if this was a trim sheet, get some like bending in the normal of the wood, so these aren't just flat. Like just make it feel like let me see if I can illustrate this. So if you were to look at this board from the side, it looks like this, and then maybe you've got these little dips where the wood creases are. But this is how the normals are reading, right? They're like really straight up. So they feel pretty pristine. To push that is to just take the normal and like dip it, right? Just like wood would bend. And that'll give you so much more visual complexity and let the light hit that surface in such a different way. And you can do that pretty easily in just Substance Painter with the trim sheet if you wanted to. And just add some gradients in the way that the wood is bending that affect the normal. You'd probably paint it in the height map, and then that alone would give you so much complexity here. And then combine that with like a roughness, like an extreme roughness pass, and like all the little dirty bits that are going to show up at the bottom edges and like the crevices where things have chipped, slight color shifting, all that stuff. Dude, that'll go a long way. I don't know how much decals will help you with that stuff. I know decals do help, but when possible, do it in the material. Oh, definitely. Solid. Definitely. But yeah, very cool. Very, very cool. What are we at? 9. We got 53 minutes. Jamie, scene's looking sick though, man. It's shaping up to be your dopest one yet. It's nice and filled with assets, and it's just like let's crank up that last 10%, that last 5%, you know. Okay, next up is Ohm. Let's see what we got going on here. So you're working on a castle entrance, and you're looking for some feedback. Oh, you got some cool angles in here. Some cool materials as well. Nice. Okay. So first of all, this material looks pretty rad. Detail-wise, it does feel like with the character standing next to it, it does feel like the scale is kind of hard to understand. But like when we look at the renders here, I would say, so I'm a big fan of this shot, and I think it needs that layer that we were talking about earlier. You know, the dirtiness layer. So like the stuff that's under here, it doesn't need to be like, oh my god, this thing's so run down, and it's just a slight value and or saturation shift. It doesn't need to be like super broken down feeling. But generally, this is feeling pretty good. Careful with like the warping of stone, but maybe this looks like it's working. Think about like if there's anything you can do to like smooth out this inner area here, like where they meet. It is good that they're meeting around the same heights, but like compositionally, I really like this. It feels really clean, you know, really pristine. I don't know what the references are that you're using for this type of scene, but I think that like when I see this, I'm pretty confident you can push your surfaces pretty nicely, and it's just a matter of giving you enough like variation and detail in the way that the surfaces interact with each other, and just how stuff builds up, right? So like if we do a levels again, levels is almost always how I like portray this type of variation, because then I don't destroy the pixels that are already there, and I just kind of use them. So if let's soften this up, and we'll just do this, and we'll do something like just going to do something like this as well. We'll just erase that a little bit. But you can see, like, even doing that, it's so subtle. But it helps, like, it helps ground stuff and, like, show its connection. Like, see this edge here is really, like, just getting something under there will do a ton. And those help with, like, bridge those connections and the detail that's there, right? Let me see if we can push it even a little bit more. Because nothing is, like, super pristine unless that's the look you're going for. But when you go for that look, it tends to feel really unnatural. You added a ref on the Discord? Dude, let's go. Let's see. Wait, where did you add the ref? I don't see it. Maybe I'm crazy. Yeah, I don't see the reference you added. As for the last one as well, if the bulk of the scene is one material, your roughness will determine the light response and whether or not this sells the idea. Definitely. It's like when we look at this, it kind of feels like a model because everything has the same roughness value. Oh, there we go, Ohm. Dude, sick. Okay, let's go. Cool. So you can already see what I'm talking about. You can see it in your reference. So that discoloring and the layers, this is how you get that separation and the logic to push the difference. I would actually suggest making 2 versions of this brick. One being what it looks like now, like this stone, and then one of it being more like randomly discolored, maybe even a little bit more damaged, and painting between the two in ways where you can do these variations of splits, splitting up the look. And then, of course, you've got this discoloring, which you can probably do with decals. But you can see all the subtle variations that are happening to create like a way for it to connect. You can see it's even darker in here. Every opening has some like sediment. Yeah, use nanite assemblies and geobricks. Definitely. Yeah, when the camera gets closer, you could go in and like the version that you make where it's like really damaged. Like I think you have. This might be a bit extreme for what you're trying to do. Hang on. Why am I? There we go. So this one might be a bit extreme, but the idea that some of them are missing, that could be the other material. And then you paint between the two, and then the one where there's stones missing, you could place stones that are in those openings, but like offset a little bit. Yeah, because like right now, I think it's just generally it's too sterile and too like model like, so it ends up being really 3D feeling right now, right? But it's those variations that are going to push it further. And when you look at like this scene, this shot, for example, you're inviting a lot of like questions about what's out here, which means you're going to have to visually sell it, right? So maybe you should have the gate closed or like some doors shut. The surface down here is like intensely overpushed in its displacement. So visually it's just really hard to understand what it's made out of and how that even works. It just doesn't feel natural or grounded. And then how it meets the wall, again, it's going to be a combination of like what should be down here, what shows up down here. Look at all your references. Like in this reference, you can see these are much rounder Basically, yours are, where's yours at? Yours are capping out really tall. They're doing like, they're doing this. So the ones we're seeing here tend to be doing like rounding like this. Yours look like they're doing this. So they're really like heavy on the height here. They need to be more rounded and even like some tapered off. And they just need to be more soft, more rounded. And then there's the little micro stones inside of that and some like dirt and stuff. And then you've got these stones. I think these stones really help because they give you can see all the roughness differences you get for just the nature of what this all is. And then these nice little random breaks, you could just use a separate stone like Jake was saying in chat and place it in the ground in those areas. And that'll help like break that up as well. But you can see everything like you've got the language here. You've got this kind of the ground going this way. Some areas it looks like they've paved over and then those have chipped away. There's a little bit like of a curve going on here as it meets the wall. Some like softening. And the wall even like it comes out and kind of meets the ground. So there is an interaction happening here where the ground and the wall meet, right? Feels like someone pushed a roller very hard on this one. But yeah, it just needs to be pushed further. Right now, you're quite limited with what you can work with because you're staying at like a really pristine state. Start layering that stuff on. Find ways to break the surfaces up in natural ways. And find out how to get your materials to meet each other, but also get that variation. Cool. It's a dope scene though. All right. Let's look at Adam stuff, dude. Adam, busy guy. Let me gonna drag these in, right? Yeah, cool. Boop. Okay, so we'll look at this one. Can I drag this in? Yes, I can. Sick. Nice. So a couple different angles. Then we've got your the rug that's there. Let's do this. It's like you knew. It's like you knew how I was using this file here. Cool. Okay. Let me read your message as well. Working on an interactive space / hideout staging area where the player would set up their loadouts, upgrade their gear, and choose which map to play, similar to Ready or Not and The Last of Us No Return. The location is based on the San Francisco mayor's office. I've attached the main angles, some alternative angles of my current area of focus. Also, here's a short video. Ooh, we got a short video. Let me click here. The overall layout of the space and where the interactive spots will be added. Image storage doors. Imagine storage doors opening and UI appearing and select your gear. All right, let me 2 seconds here. 2 seconds. All right. Oh man, this is pretty cool. Yeah, so imagine that opens up. Wait a minute. What is this? Sarah. Oh man, dude, the framing of this is pretty nice. It feels a little too authored in the way it's put together. Dude, cool. Wait, let me look at this map again. pretty sick, man. I like it. Yeah, and the floor texture is really nice. Dude. Dude. Yeah, you mean like the Division one, right? Pretty sure that's Division. Indeed. I just wanted to see if you would say it. Really cool. So first of all, this is pretty rad, what we're looking at here. It's Sarah. It's Sarah from the Division, yes. I mean, there's a lot of elements in here that feel very Division-y. I've even, dude, in Division 2 and 1, I was the one who built the crafting table. Okay, so location is based in San Francisco Mayor's office. I would appreciate some feedback on the layout and texturing, plus anything else that may stand out to you. Do your research. I mean, I don't expect you to know that stuff. That's a very specific. But yeah, like I was in charge of a base of operations for Div 1 and Div 2. Yeah, I mean the paintings for sure. Worry about those. Like, I don't know if you're planning to release this or anything like that, but that'll be something for sure. Like Jake saying in chat, the interactions are good. I think it'll all depend on, like, if we look at this through the lens of this is a game, figure out which door you usually come in from. Right now it looks like, I guess you come in here as you load into this space, right? Oh, dude, nice, man. So these are safe to use in. So when you come into this space, even if you're loading into it, you're likely going to be loading in from this door. I think it would be really strange if you load in where you're standing now. So compositionally, everything needs to be framed from the area you spawn in, right? And you can see you're trying to spawn in and reveal the space to us as like a presentation. But don't think about it like that. Think about it as like a game experience. So lock in the camera of where you start and then build your composition from that. Also the state of the world, like whatever is going on in this game, the room should reflect that. So like maybe this table is not centered up anymore and is kind of off kilter or tilted. That tilt, that gives you the opportunity to tilt it in an angle that is better for the gameplay experience, right? So maybe it's tilted more towards you. And think about everything that would be here. Right now, this does not feel like a hideout. It feels like a place where you work on your gun and you interact with your stash in the map. But if the space is a place you're always returning to, it should reflect like an actual hideout. All the gear and stuff that you're collecting, or like the stuff that you're hoarding that you find out in the world. Any of the supplies and stuff you need. Where does he sleep? Where does the character sleep? Are the chairs, like stacking the chairs higher in the corner, even more so, getting them out of the way? The state of the windows, those probably need to be boarded up and the place needs to feel more secure and more of like a hideout, if that makes sense. Outside of that, I mean, all the elements feel pretty cool. I don't know where the chair for the seat is. And these like these cloth covered objects, these are great for like building a space out, right? Think about what the space was set up as before with blocks, where cabinets used to be, where the books were, where like, was there a table? Like if this is a guy's office, the mayor's office, right? The mayor's seat's there, it looks like. There would likely be a table here and like seating for like visitors coming in and having like these really important meetings or talks. There'd probably be a screen somewhere or a TV, maybe a little station for coffee. And all of that stuff is how the room used to be. And you would assume that that stuff's still going to be in there, but just moved out of the way and positioned in places that get it out of the way because now the room is transformed into another use. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's those are the details and the ideas for the objects that can be around the space. Yeah, you can have those objects poked out from underneath. I mean, you don't need to see them. We just need to, like, would they have cared to move all that stuff? If there's this much room in the space, there's not really a reason to move this stuff. Like maybe some of the bookshelves and stuff are behind the workbench now, right? Maybe it doesn't even matter. Like these are just shoved up in front of it. The things that are covered with the tarp or like cloth are going to be things that you, quote unquote, need to be protected when they were leaving or removing themselves from the location, evacuating, you know? So it's these details that are going to be like the guiding principles for like how helping you understand what the space was and what it's been transformed into. Right now, it feels like an empty room where you then put your features in that you wanted and your assets to tell your story. But the assets that were there that should have been there from the beginning were then added to fill the space. Not they were there to make the space feel natural, and then I moved them around and then put the current function in there. Scraping decals can be pretty nice as well. It's pretty micro, but it can be a good detail. There's also one thing I did in the White House in Div 2 is you have like a painting that was on the wall and maybe a bunch of paintings got removed. Like, see, this one's laying here. If there was a painting here and it's been hanging there for years and then they take it down, you're going to get this like bleach effect where basically the walls are bleached because of the sunlight, but where the painting was before is just a little bit darker because the wood was protected by the painting. So these types of details and yeah, just build the room out as the mayor's room and then transform it. I like the interactions. The framing on the workbench, this shot here feels pretty good. It just feels a bit artificial how stuff is placed. It feels a little unnatural. Like the wrench, for example, or like not the wrench, but the screwdrivers, they'd probably be more horizontal because you would just place them, you know, or they would just pile up on the side because you just put them all in the same spot. But compositionally, I get why it's like that. And I need a mug. I need a mug because I'm seeing mug marks on the wood. Yeah, and this feels like it needs a ton more like little micro props and stuff like that. There's some lights here, but maybe a light coming down from the ceiling, like a lower chandelier type of shape, would be really cool. But I mean, otherwise, the stuff's looking pretty rad, and it's just a matter of like pushing the logic of how you build the space out. Looking pretty rad though. I like it. I like it a lot. Do you have anything else that you want me that maybe I didn't react to? Think about all the stuff this person would need as well. Like either they found or they brought with them, or like when they established this. Anything they would hang up on the walls as well could be really important. But yeah, I think I was taking it more from a gameplay perspective when it's like how it's revealed and where things are placed and the world building around the space itself. Very cool. It's pretty exciting. I like your UI stuff too. All right, Devon, or is it Divan? Yeah, pressing those buttons, those are all blueprints for sure. Okay. Here's my latest finished project. Is this, yeah. Oh, that's pretty cute. It's quaint. Any critique is much appreciated. More pictures and videos in my portfolio. All right, so let me get rid of this there. We got some videos as well. Cool. Oh, nice. Yeah, seeing how this is all set up is important. So it is stylized, right? So there's a lot of like details that were, man, that rooftop's crazy. Is that all nanite displaced action going on there? Oh. It's a cool roof. It needs the same thing I was talking about with roughness on the other work. Is like it just needs interaction between all the surfaces. You can see how it feels like they're all in their own world. They're not interacting with each other. It's place geometry, dude. That's wild. I mean, that works too. Where's the sky? It's a good question. It's a little diorama, right? I think, so if I were to like, let's copy this. We'll bring it in here. Okay. There we go. Okay, cool. So some stuff with the terrain. Like I would try and do more in the future with this type of stuff. You've got some dithering going on here, but I think trying to make it feel more natural and falling off, and it looks like you're doing it. You're trying to do it in a painterly way, which is cool. I like that effect. I think framing it as such and giving like something in the background, even it doesn't need to be like a sun or a moon or anything like that, or a sky even, but just a white backdrop is really difficult to look at for a long period of time, right? Getting that breakup and thinking about composition is going to be really, really important. So like, for example, if we take this, I'm going to just push this down, and then we'll look at it through this lens. So compositionally, like if you squint, what we're seeing is this, right? We're seeing this, and we're seeing this and this. And then on the ground, we're getting this. So, actually, even more, we'll go more accurate here. So what you would want to compositionally start looking at is things like this is doing a good job of helping like bring that frame in, or like extending the shape of the building, and the tree is anchoring the composition so that it feels more natural. It's not just like bam, bam, like the building ground. You know, there's some fall off to the shape language. I feel like I would expect like a bush here, maybe a bush here, just to help with the edge. You know, that could be cool. I'll just doodle it like so. So you got a bush here, for example, and then maybe like another bush behind the tree or something. And we're trying to help with the fall off. And don't hesitate to like add little rocks and whatnot as well. So if I just extend this out, and we extend this out, let's do like this. Now these can go out further to match that tension, right? So we're wanting to like really push that language further out, because for this curve to work, this line actually needs to go way out here. And you can see how dynamic it makes the shot. It kind of makes me wish that there was another like tent maybe in the back that you barely see, that you can draw another line with. That could be cool. And then you pin that down and the terrain's back there as well. So it just starts to feel anchored and more natural, I guess, in that regard. Now, if we go back to this shot here, you can see how bright this is. It's pretty wild. Getting that like when we look at your roughness in your post, getting the interaction between all the surfaces, that's going to really push your scene. Because right now you can see, like, even in the albedo, it's very sterile, material to material. There's nothing like interacting with them. Those are the things that I would really try and push. I think if we look closer at this as well, if you have, like, you've got your dirt material, right, for the little pathway here, and then you've got your grass material, and then a grass, like grass texture meshes, and then you've got your grass material. Those two need to match in roughness as well as like the directionality of the normal, so that they read kind of as one. So if those don't match, like you can see in your normals as well, they won't match. Those need to match in order to really like blend that all together. And yeah, I think the main thing is just like finding ways to push the composition, expanding on your materials, because like your modeling generally feels all right. There's a little bit of like rigidness in some areas, but you're really starting to push it when you look at the rooftops and like the chimney, for example. But I think your biggest weakness right now is a little bit of the technical stuff with the grass on the ground and getting that all to blend. But it's your PBR understanding, your material understanding. Even in a stylized workflow, understanding why things interact and don't interact, and getting them to understanding how to blend things together and get the materials to interact, that's gonna like elevate you more than anything. If you push your materials, you'll see a huge improvement in your work. Like you can see, like even the roughness of the steps here, there's nothing happening in it, right? So like it looks like in your albedo there's stuff happening, and I would expect maybe those material differences should be reflected in your roughness. Like are those stone? Yeah, see these stone pieces? If those had slightly different roughness values to the rest of the stone steps, that would do a lot, right? That would really push the visual dynamics of the surfaces further. Also, look at the shapes that you're using and try and make sure that there's a logic to like how things are put together. Like these being split up like this, is this wood? Because if it is wood, it should just be one piece, right? And if you want design-wise to have those breaks there, do it in the design of the single piece. Because you can still have those breaks without it actually being separated. I did not watch this video. When did YouTube start doing this type of playing? It's quite interesting. Does it loop? That's interesting, the leaves there. I did not see that before. It's a nice touch with the tree. And you can see the contrast with the roof and the leaves. Getting those to be a little bit closer. Yeah, you can't hide any of this? What's going on? That is kind of wild, actually. You can see how it's brighter in there as well. Like, I would try and make the inside of the building darker so you just don't see, or like have some type of lighting implying an indoor. Oh, I can even see that that's a wall, so it only goes in for a little bit. I'd really commit to just making even if it's just a cube of an interior. Watch out for things clashing into each other. Yeah, like this. Or like these gaps here. You're getting a little bit of stuff going on between the wall and the wood pieces. But the wood pieces are very dark, and it's hard to understand what the material is. Your brain just goes, oh, it must be wood. But then you break it like this, and we're like, well, is it wood now? I don't know. This is cool too. It doesn't have the brightness that I would expect, I guess. It's a metal wood. What do you mean? So just because a concept has it that way doesn't mean you need to follow it exactly either. Let's take a look real quick here. Oh yeah, that's weird. That is so strange. I'm blind. Oh, okay, here we go. Not blind. Yeah, that's really strange. I think this looks cool in the concept, but doesn't translate. But yeah, getting some textural detail in there, not just like the same fidelity that the concept has, will take your work much further, I think. It's pretty cool. It's just yeah. Oh, interesting. It's like a little dragon looking thing. Interesting. Oh, they're like, no, they're, what are those? Crows? Some bird dragon thing? I don't know. Gandalf just chilling. It's the White House, guys. Interesting. Yeah, you can see even I think you just need to push further than the concept did. But I love the leaves on the top here, and I think how you added those, it just, yeah. Think about like where those scatter. Like, do they build up around here as well? Where they would build up, and then logically like getting them to blend a little bit more with the roof. Like the roof feels maybe a little too dark for me. And then your roughness, just got to push that roughness a lot. Like really, I think the main thing holding you back now is your PBR understanding. I think it's the number one thing. Pretty cool though. Yeah, I wouldn't go to this and try and update those things. I would just move to the next one and just take the learnings forward. That way you continue the momentum, you know? And I cannot critique your next piece because I should limit it to one thing. There's a tag. Oh, okay. I see you added the concept. Okay, cool. Is it Jashil or Jashil? How do I say that? How do I say your name? Got it. Is there any resources to help better understand PBR and composition of pieces? Muck's link is pretty good. Let me just pull this up here. Dude, hell yeah. It's a very technical write-up, but it's really good. Your composition video? You'll get there, Jake. Okay, what am I looking at here? This image is huge. What are all these the same? Oh, because I thought it was 4 images posted, but it's it's just one. Oh, that's funny. Okay, well, this looks pretty cool. Been iterating on this for a while. Overall, it's somewhere between 80 and 90% there. I agree with that. Would like critiques on where you spot something is off critical modeling wise, because going back fixing stuff will be very time consuming, as I'm mainly looking for feedback related to texturing lighting since. Okay. So the buttons and the board feel a bit thin, but I wouldn't say it's critical. It's just the thing that sticks out. Framed ink. I'm not familiar with that one. I'm grabbing that. I guess the duct tape is so straight on this side. Very nitpick though, I think, because on this side it feels a little bit better. It's interesting. There's some tape under this as well, so it's like there's some. I think the tape is the thing that's bugging me the most, and it's like just the way that it's laying on things. Like they would dip in here, like they would dip in here to try and keep this close to the body, but like this, they would just go straight across, I think. Yeah, and there's a lot of like alignment stuff that just feels a little bit unnatural with the tape. But it's a pretty cool asset. I think when it comes to the materials, it's more about finding the differences, like getting that variation. Like if we zoom in here, this is pretty sick. I think with a roughness, like dirtiness pass, it doesn't need to be super dirty, but just like to connect everything together, that could look really, really nice. Like there's a lot of variation in your roughness here. More detailed solo shots in the link below. There we go. Nice. Nice. Dude, this area feels pretty good. Roughness. Dude, yeah. Jake, welcome to the party, man. I think whenever I'm critiquing people's work, 70% of the time it's about their roughness. 70%, yeah. Maybe even 75% of the time. And then outside of that, 10% is modeling, or like it's 75% roughness, 5% PBR, and then the last 10% is like composition, and it's a rough job. I have a shirt idea I want to make about roughness. If anyone wants to help me, let me know. Yeah, I think it's the tape placement and material. Dude, the material in that feels dope right there. This is dope. I immediately recognize that type of but yeah, getting the tape to feel right, and I think just making sure that the roughness differences between everything feels good. Like the plate on the side here is pretty nice, like the chipboard on the side, but then the roughness on the tape, the roughness on the plastics. This feels a bit artificial. This way this is cut open. I might even like rip away more and just make it not so even, because like right now it's the plastic edge and then this mesh on the inside almost evenly there. I would remove a bunch of it on one side just to get some variation in there so it doesn't look so like crafted. The size of the batteries feels slightly off to you? I think they're right. If I look at the power strip, they feel right. The batteries feel okay. They look like they're double A's, and there's 6 of them. Yeah, I think it's your roughness. Your roughness just needs to be pushed. getting range separation between the elements, even if it's slightly exaggerated, will just make it feel better. Get some oil in there too, some grease. But there's some nice details going on in here. That it's not far off. Like this area here feels really good. Like in the little chipped corners and stuff. These little nicks and whatnot. There's some nice like buildup of gunk in there. Yeah, tape maybe just being more reflective, like even just pushing it a little too far into the reflective range. It's a plastic. Cool. This feels weird. Like that ring on the inside feels like it should be further in, if I remember this connection correctly. With some nice breakup on the roughness of the... Yeah, I think it just... You just need more extreme in your roughness. Because, like, if I zoom in on this when we screenshot it, and I bring it into Affinity, delete this, we just do like a levels. Dude, look at what's going on in there. Did you see it? Those are nice, and it's very subtle. I think pump them up more. Let us see them. Because that's a really nice little details going on there. It's better to overdo it, and then we dial it down, than like be subtle, and then we keep telling you we need more, but you're not sure what we're meaning sometimes, you know? Yeah, there's stuff there. Oh, nice. There's this little dot thing here. Pretty cool, though. I think, yeah, your lighting will also do a lot for the surfaces. Okay. Closing for tonight. All right, so let's look at the next one. Mehdi, I'm trying to recreate a scene for Mandalorian. Oh, dude, hell yeah, let's go. Hang on. Hold. Where the heck did my open file? I always get muted for some reason. Hang on. Hang on. Why does it keep muting me? Wait, what? You're the one muting me? Dude, nice. Mm-hmm. Classic scene. So you sent 2 videos, but I think they're both the movie, unless they're not? Dude, what the actual... Hang on. My goal is to make it look as close as possible to the movie shot in terms of lighting and color and composition. The helmets in Mando model were downloaded. I'm just retexturing them in Substance Painter. Jake, I've been thinking about that for a while. Okay, hang on. Hang on. Why don't these want to open in VLC by default? Open with VLC. I got muted again. So This is a dot test movie. And then this one is the Mando test movie. Dude, it's so subtle. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. He's maybe a bit like a bit dark. Yeah, so this one's yours. The movement of these, yeah, I see that. Dude, it's so close. What is this amateur hour? Ollie's like, I chose violence. Hey, Ollie. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. Dude, that's wild. No, Ollie, you're cool. It's cool. Man, that's wild. I think the only thing that's kind of thrown me off. Hang on. We're going in. You can't just do this to me. Okay. So yes, there's a bit of like, you can see the contrast difference between the materials here and then your cape. This looks very good. Like Hey, have a good one, man. Thank you for coming by. Thanks for submitting your stuff as well. This looks dope. It feels right. The shadows maybe could be a little bit more diffused. You can see the shadows are cooler here as well. Just get some ambience to like push the coolness in the air. Hey, Jake, have a good one, man. And then look at the environment that's being reflected is just cooler, like temperature wise. Get the temperature to be closer, and you're golden. The mask eyes are maybe a little bit lighter in the real scene. I think if you could push those to be a little bit brighter or like milkier, that would be good. And then get the cape to be visible and more diffused in the roughness. The helmet and the shoulder pad need to be brighter in the albedo, I'm assuming. And the reflectiveness, I think if the environment was just more of like a clear blue sky, because this is in Tatooine, right? So if the sky map is more accurate to Tatooine in your scene, with no, I think I see clouds. If it's clear blue sky, you're going to get a closer resemblance to this. That's all I have for this though, man. It's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. It's pretty crazy, dude. I'm glad I could say something. Moment. Yo. Let's take a peek. Hang on here. Dude, what? What? That's crazy. That's crazy. We're at 10 o'clock as well. I got one more after this. One more. Philip, I got you, man. I got you. What else we got here? We got this shot. We got this one. These scenes feel different from each other. So yours is, there's a little bit of like modeling that needs to be done. Like it's just too low poly in this shot, for example. And then your materials just aren't holding up for what they're trying to do, right? So it's lacking the complexity of geometry and materials to really sell what you're trying to pull off. This shot, however, is pretty sick I think I would try and find a way to like this shot's cool too. This one is showing your material weaknesses currently. Like this normal looks flipped. Something's going on here. I'm not sure what's happening. And the materials are all kind of chalky. So like your roughnesses are all kind of off. This shot is pretty sick. I really like this shot. I would see if you can get some light rays in there and try and get some depth. So if I'm being honest, you've been working on the scene for a while, right? If I'm being honest, I would actually cut every shot except the first one. Like I would just focus on this and ship this. You could do the other shots if you want. It's just going to be a lot more time. Because like, for example, if you look at this one, the metal is really dark, but then also it needs like a detail normal. It needs a roughness pass. Like basically everything needs a PBR work, right? Just PBR understanding. There's some nice breakup stuff happening here, but it looks a bit random versus like breaking up in the way that you would expect. I think that if we go, what am I doing here? Like I expect stuff to build up in these areas, like little leaves and stuff. That'll help a lot. Roughness here to just help us understand the materials. Everything feels really sterile here still. And maybe it's just because you just haven't gotten to it yet. The camera angles are good. And it's a lot of content to build. If you were to just be focusing on this one, it's more about like how do we get this clothesline to separate from the backdrop? That's where I'm like, you see this light that's hitting here? Dude, if you could get, I'm just gonna say like, if you could get that light to be casting behind the clothing line, and then you have like a bit of fog, you can get these to separate. Yeah, and textile density is also another issue when you look at like the difference between some of the surfaces. You really see it in this shot, for example. Like I wouldn't even, if you wanted to keep other shots, you could cut that one out and you would be okay with like, I would maybe animate this one, like starting high and going low, and then cut this shot, and then just post these two with it, and then just refine these 3 shots. But yeah, no, it's looking really good now, and it's just a matter of like how do we push the shot as hard as we can. And like right now you have the lights kind of hitting behind this, which I think allows for you to get some really nice light ray to connect with this. That can happen behind the clothesline, and that allows you to separate the clothesline from the backdrop. And then yeah, textile density for resolution stuff. Just making sure everything is looking consistent. There's also, with the foliage, it feels like you need a little bit more gaps between your leaves. That way it can feel more volumetric. Do you have any recommendations on educational content for textile density? So simply put, textile density is just making sure that the pixels of all of your materials are roughly the same size. If you tile a texture really low res on an object, the pixels take up more space physically, right? Just trying to keep all your materials roughly around the same textile density is just saying, try and keep all your materials around the same consistency of detail. There's a lot of like very technical ways of looking at it. I think there's a really good write-up on it on why am I forgetting their name all of a sudden? Beyond Extent on their website. They have a pretty good write-up on textile density, but it's very technical. And I think it's more important to understand what textile density is trying to do. And it's trying to unify all your materials resolution. Like you have a wall and a ground that are 2 different resolutions, but they still need to look the same res. Like if the ground is 512 and the wall is 1024, but you need them to look like they're both the same, you take the 512 and you tile it twice, and now it's 1024. Right? So now they'll look the same res, but they're, yeah. Anyways, hopefully that, yeah, 512 pixels per meter is a good approach for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's roughness, composition, getting the space to read with depth, using the light rays to get the clothing hanger to separate from the above. I'm not too interested in the sky because like this stuff looks cool to me. And then, you know, I think don't hesitate to use depth of field on your camera if you want to try and focus on stuff and see how that looks. Scene's coming along, though. It's a huge difference from the last time I saw it. It's really starting to feel quite natural. Okay, I have one more. Let me make sure Yeah, I can feel your struggle and your message. I'm still working on this environment, sad face. Dude, I've been working on my temple scene for like 4 years now. It's time to finish it. Scene is looking cool though. Don't get twisted on that stuff. Keep pushing, you're almost there. Post a roughness when you get a chance, and feel free to tag me when you post again. Okay, last one. Concept art found on Dark Souls 3 art book. Fan art made by Stefan Philipp. Do you have like a picture of the? Okay, here we go. So this is the concept. Concept render. Concept. Dude, cool. I think the only thing is the eyes being more rounded could help, and like you see how they're slightly different for each other. But I like what you're doing with this piece. I think the thing that's kind of throwing me off is there's these little micro details that are happening in the metalwork, and they don't really pop the same way. You can see how much brighter this one is compared to yours. Yours feels like almost burnt, and there's a lot of like symmetrical logic happening in here. I mean, you can do a lot of this in Substance Painter with just painting height maps and stuff. But getting that to come through and feeling rounded at the top, as well as like having symmetry in the patterns, and then the brightness of it. I think that's the main thing that's kind of throwing me off here. The metallic, I think this is fine. I'm kind of trying to like, you know, it's close to all white. And the dirtiness, I think it makes sense. There's a shift happening right now in metallic being some gray values when it comes to the transition of black, just so that you don't get the weird fringe where it's metal and not metal, for example. But yeah, you can see your albedo, I would say, probably needs to be brighter for the metal, which sounds crazy, but try looking at it next to the concept and just in this view, brightening up the albedo on the metal until it gets close to this. You'll be surprised how bright this gets. But if it looks right in the final render, then you're good to go. Only other thing I would say is maybe pushing the brightness on like key areas of the skull could help with like emphasizing it more. Right? So like if we take this, if we copy this and go over here, and we'll just paste, please paste correctly. And we do like a levels, do my levels like I do. And then we'll pump this up a little bit as well. We'll close that. Let's mask it, invert, cool. Nice. Okay, so yeah, getting this whole front area to pop more. Cheekbones popping out, right? These go back, so that's fine that they stay there. I'll bring this forward as well, brightness-wise. Don't hesitate to add more geometry just to get it to pop the way you're hoping. And then, of course, Yeah, see, even just brightening this up is much closer. Yeah. Dude, I think your albedo doesn't even need to be that much brighter, and you'll get there. But you can see the difference in just like pushing those values up in those areas. It's going to do a lot for like getting you closer. And then I think before, if you feel like you can, if you're going to work on it more, I'm not saying you need to, but if you work on it more, I would go in and like redo the patterns and stuff in the metal. Make it look more intentional instead of random noise. Right now it feels very noisy and random, and the inside doesn't feel like you tried to do anything with it. It feels like it's just this detail that's in there. But yeah, I think this type of pop would help a lot for like bringing those elements forward. Dude, that's kind of crazy. The metal's almost there. If we bring it up just a little bit more. See, I'm also washing it out a little bit with the gamma. Crazy. Anyways, PBR, man, it's not easy. Roughness is your best friend and your nemesis. That's usually how it rolls. Okay, I got to get out of here. I'm like way over on time. We will talk later. I will be back on Sunday, hopefully. Oh no, what is that, Najer? I'm like, oh no. Oh geez. Don't tell me. I need, where are we at here? Music. There we go. There we go. Okay. I'll look at that clip later, Najer. No, thank you guys for hanging out. We'll talk later. I'll see you on Discord. If you're new here, here's the Discord. And until later. The clip of Stop It? No. So good. Clips are amazing. All right, guys. Have a good Friday tomorrow. And I'll see you in the Discord. Bye, guys. Bye.